my parents were violent towards me. When I was young, my father, who was very traditional, thought you could treat girls like objects. At 18, I left home to live with Tom, my secret boyfriend. I lived with Tom for a while. I got a job and made a lot of money. He wasn't violent but worried about my focus on my career. Tom and I broke up after 2 years together. I moved, but we stayed friends and texted each other. I found a small house to rent in a pretty safe neighborhood. It was a little run down, but I didn't mind it. Tom even came to help me clean and move my things. It rained heavily the first night in my new house, so Tom stayed to wait for the rain to stop. We watched hilarious movies on the couch with a packet of popcorn like in the good old days. I almost regretted breaking up with him. He was one of the few people I trusted enough to talk to about my family problems. But even though it hurt me to leave him, I wasn't going to give up my dreams for a guy as cute as he was. "Hey Stacy, you sure you're gonna be okay on your own?" "It'll be fine, Tom. You know I'm a badass." I know, but I can't help but worry. Your parents are still looking for you." "Is that what he contacted you?" "I think he contacted everyone you knew in high school on Facebook. Fortunately, I deleted my account." "Does he know about us or about my new home?" "I hope not. I didn't tell him anything, but some of our former comrades may have. So take care of yourself." "Okay, Stacy. I promise, Tom, I will." It was unsettling to know that my father was taking over my trail, but I thought I would be quiet as long as I didn't use social media. This state of mind lasted about a week. I was getting used to my 7 a.m. routine. Arrive at work at 9 a.m., leave at 5 p.m., return home at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. and start again. It may sound boring, but I enjoyed the predictability. One day when I got home, I found an unstamped envelope in my mailbox. No stamp. I knew the sender dropped it off in person, not in the mail. I thought it was a randomly distributed ad. I opened the envelope expecting a product I didn't need. Instead, I found a piece of paper with a single sentence, scribbled in black marker. "I know where you live, Stacy." After what Tom had told me about my father, I immediately panicked like crazy. I checked the door, and thank God it was still locked. Sure no one had entered. I rushed inside, locked it, and ran to my room. I called the cops about the letter, and in the meantime, I contacted Tom to tell him everything. He listened to me cry with the patience of an angel, reassuring me when I became too hysterical. After 2 years together, he knew how to calm me down during my crises related to my past. The cops looked at the letter and told me they couldn't do anything without a major crime and proof that I didn't put it in myself. Obviously, it pissed me off, but these lazy cops responded to my protests with indifference. Their annoyed faces said they just wanted to get away from me as soon as possible. Once off to snack at taxpayer expense, I locked myself in and called Tom to complain. He listened to me grumble about my anger again. Until I calmed down enough to think. I offered to buy a camera for my door to have evidence. If the author of the word came back, he approved and even helped me choose a good camera at the store. The next day after work, I declined when he offered to help me set it up at my house. However, we were still separated and I decided to learn to manage myself. It took me forever anyway. But I installed the Ring camera and connected it to my cell phone the same day. Not to lie, I was pretty proud of myself. That night, I went to bed feeling safer. 3 days later, I had almost forgotten the letter I received. I convinced myself that it was just a joke and that my name was in it, because Stacy also referred to women in general while working in my cubicle. I suddenly received a notification on my cell phone. I first believed a text from Tom and checked it impatiently. In fact, Maring had spotted someone outside my door. I got chills, but I couldn't ignore it. I opened the live feed and let out a shrill scream. My cell phone fell and I backed up, hyperventilating. My father was a cruel man. He would hit me whenever I did something he didn't like if he found me really unbearable. He wore a creepy clown mask to terrorize me by beating me up. The image of that damned mask with the mocking grin remains etched in my memory, and there in front of my door, filmed by the Ring camera, a guy wearing that same clown mask. Creepy. Watching him again after 2 years away from my sadistic father, I felt like I was a kid about to be punished again. Everyone in the office stopped to stare at me, my reason, telling me not to be afraid. Since I wasn't facing him in real life, but my body didn't want to hear anything. I came to my senses when the masked man left, but my boss had already told me to go home, given my condition. He was right, but I didn't want to go home either. I ended up calling Tom and spending the night at his house. He was understanding and assured me it would be okay. In short, we got closer and got back together in the morning. I found a note from Tom, gone to work, little breakfast on the table. He was really a good guy. As I ate, I thought about how to thank him for everything. Tom sucks at laundry, so I decided to wash and iron his stinky clothes. While sorting her laundry, I discovered something that turned everything upside down. In the basket, I found a mask identical to the one worn by the man outside my door, triggering a flood of questions and unsettling realizations. I am 99% sure that everyone hides a heavy secret in one way or another, some more than others. But for me, this dark secret gnawed at my soul for over 15 years. How many nights have I spent awake, wishing I could erase my consciousness? Like everyone else, I learned to live with it, keeping it buried away from others. But as they say, karma is a bitch, and she wanted to reveal my secret. I was 27 when it happened. I lived a normal life with a 9-to-5 job with no real problems. That was until that fateful Tuesday night, when I went to bed after a long day at 12 and woke sharp. My camera alarm woke me up. It had already happened. I went out to see stray cats on the porch. I thought it was happening again, so I ignored it and went back to sleep. The next day, before work, as a precaution, I had a coffee and checked the footage from my Ring camera. I told myself it was nothing, as fast forward to 00 o'clock. But as soon as the video hit 00 o'clock, I saw a woman approaching my porch. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her face was contorted with anger, staring at the camera with a deadly gaze, but she was grinning with all her teeth. As soon as I saw it, my stomach clenched and I vomited the coffee I had drunk. After that, I stepped back from the computer and said, No, I did everything. The room seemed to close. I lay down, trying to catch my breath and calm myself. I wasn't reacting that way just because a stranger was staring at my camera in a creepy way. No, I was acting like that because I knew the woman in the video. It was Olivia Cole, and I was shaking because she died 15 years ago. I knew that because I had witnessed his death. It happened when I was in 5th grade. I was 12. And Olivia was my best friend. After school we played on an old porch in the yard. Olivia was playing dangerously on the edge, but I didn't say anything. 2 minutes later, I regretted it when I saw her fall. The sound of his skull on concrete still haunts me every night at the age of 12. The incident traumatized me for life. I had to see many therapists. After the horrible accident, Olivia and her family moved. I haven't heard back, but 15 years later, I see someone who looks like their dead daughter at my door. I called in sick at work that day, so upset was the incident. That night I lay awake, too scared to sleep. At 00 home clock, the ring alarm went off. I froze at the sound of the alarm, my body paralyzed with fear. The alarm stopped after 1 a.m. I was drenched in sweat. I went to the lounge and checked the footage from the Ring camera. At 00, just like the day before. I saw him approach and stare at the camera. This time she said, "I know what you did." She kept repeating what you did. As she stared into the camera, the images were terrifying. My heart sank. I was at a dead end. Not being able to call the police, impossible to say that my friend's spirit was stalking me at night. I couldn't talk to anyone about it, just a crazy person. I decided to handle this myself for my mental health. That night I stayed awake. She stayed 5 minutes before picking the lock. It made me doubt. A spirit wouldn't be bothered by a door. My lock gave out. I heard the door creak behind me. Unaware that she was human, I squeezed the pipe, hearing her approach the woman I thought she was. Olivia said, "I know what you did," without thinking. I lunged at her with a metal pipe and swung the gun at her. She dodged the blow and immediately slapped me back. We fought for a while before I managed to push her away, taking advantage of an opening. I hit her leg with the hose and she fell screaming. I lifted the pipe to finish it off. When she yelled, "You're going to kill me like Olivia," it froze me, and before I could react, the cops came in. My neighbor had reported noise and we were taken to the police station for questioning. When they got there, they questioned the woman first, then me. They asked me what had happened and I told them everything. The police officer then stated, "The woman who broke into your home claimed that you killed her cousin Olivia Cole and that was her main motive." I hesitated before answering. She was lying. She's just some crazy woman who's been stalking me for 3 nights. Like I told you, Olivia was a former best friend who died in an accident. This woman is crazy. The cop then said, "We are sorry for these baseless accusations. We will immediately arrest this woman for breaking and entering." As he was taking her away, the crying woman yelled at me, "You're gonna keep lying. I saw you kill her and make it look like an accident. You killed my cousin who was like a sister to me. Tell the truth, tell the truth." I couldn't help myself and screamed, "I did, yes I did." The cop stopped taking him away and started listening to me. And for the first time in 15 years I screamed the secret that weighed heavily on my heart. I was just a kid, and I didn't like Olivia hanging out and making friends with the other girls in 5th grade. I was angry, so I wanted to hurt him a little bit. That's why I pushed him off the monkey bars. I didn't really want them to die, but it happened, and I was scared, so I lied. I killed him. I killed Olivia Cole when I was 12. I burst into tears after the confession. The cops who heard me confess to this 15-year-old murder put me in handcuffs. Later, when my lawyer arrived, I learned that the woman stalking me was Charlotte Cole. She was Olivia's cousin and she looked exactly alike. She had come to pick up Olivia with her aunt from school that day, and my sight drove her to her death. She said she didn't say anything because she too was dealing with this trauma. After 15 years, only justice and revenge could appease her. Knowing she looked like Olivia, she stalked me to make me pay by disturbing my sanity. This incident occurred more than 2 months ago. As this is the special case, the case is still ongoing. Although I risked jail, I feel free. For the first time in 15 years, I finally sleep peacefully. It happened not long ago and I'm still trying to get over it. I rented an apartment in a quiet building. It was a building of 5 floors. The people who lived there rarely spoke. The neighborhood I live in is not the safest either. Kidnapping happens a lot around here. Bartender in a local people. I can't afford to live anywhere else. This place was my only roof. I lived on the 3rd floor. Opposite lived a woman in her 30s. Her name was Judy, pretty but shy. Everyone avoided him because of his bad mother. I've seen grumpy old men, but Madame Voris with a cactus among the flowers, she screamed at Judy day and night. I could hear his shrill voice from their apartment. I didn't ask for salad, I said I wanted soup. Why didn't you wash my handkerchief? There's a yellow stain in it. Never hear you when I call, that's how you thank me. I regret bringing you into the world, no wonder you'll end up alone as a neighbor. I felt sorry for Judy though. Madame Judith took care of her. I never heard a word in the corridor, she passed like a robot. His only moment of respite was in the evening. Every night from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m., Madame Voris came out staggering with her cane. She went there. Good weather, bad weather. Once it was raining. Judy advised against it. She screamed, "Of course, don't you want me to stay in shape? You'd be happy if I died tomorrow to make my money easy." At that time, I watched the TV on muted. I didn't make any noise this whole hour, so Judy would have some peace. I wanted her to have at least an hour a day to enjoy the silence or cry quietly. There was nothing we could do but watch Judy go through the same hell every day. One evening I came home from work. I was about to unlock my door when I heard Judy's voice behind me. "Thank you for being a quiet neighbor. It must be awful living next to us." "Not at all. It suits me very well. I mean, I'm a heavy sleeper." "I see before we can talk anymore," Madame Voris shouted from inside. "If you're done hanging out, you're done with the dishes." Judy's face flushed with shame and she closed the door. This woman is really unbearable. She drives her daughter completely crazy. While I was thinking about all this, the door opened again and Madame Voris went out with her cane for her evening walk. She gave me a look of hatred and walked away. Everything was going as usual when a robbery took place in a downstairs apartment. I was not shocked by the neighborhood. As I said before, stressed and panicked, I decided to install a doorbell camera as a precaution by installing it. I met Judy several times and advised him to do the same. She gave me a sad smile and said, "My life is already ruined. Nothing can make it worse." I sighed when I heard that, and Judy came in, locking the door. No one would have meddled in his life without this terrible incident that happened. After installing the camera, I developed a new habit. I don't know why. I liked watching the screen and the movements on the other side of my door. Thanks to the camera, I could hear Madame Voris even more clearly. His screams and curses were more distinct. It was a rainy evening and I heard Madame Voris arguing with Judy on her walks. Suddenly there was silence. Judy comes out sobbing. She moaned at my door. I didn't open it to avoid embarrassing him further. I watched her silently on my screen, then she went home. I was waiting for the old witch to come out after tormenting her daughter. 5 minutes, 1 hour, nothing happens. I'm going to bed, thinking she won't come out in this weather. I thought I was moving when I heard the muffled sound of the door closing. I turned around and saw the screen. There she was, Madame Voris in her pink raincoat, her cane in her hand. What a bitch, did I think before turning off and going to bed? Since then, my daily life has undergone some changes. The noise of quarrels gradually decreased. Mrs. Voris ceased to be that cruel witch overnight. Every night she went out in a raincoat and cane without yelling at Judy. Judy's face lit up, her life finally harmonious. One day I passed her and she smiled at me. It was the first time I saw her smile. I don't know why, it seemed a little creepy. His rimmed eyes gleamed, revealing his pale white teeth. Hello Samuel. Hi Judy, are you okay? Yes, it's finally fine after a long time. I spoke with Ma. I told her to be less strict if we live together. She accepted, luckily. Oh, I'm happy for you. Let me know if you need anything. She smiled, and I continued on my way. The days passed, and I wondered how Madame Voris had become so calm and tranquil. Suddenly, every time I saw her walking around, I wondered what could have caused this change. I would have wondered if I hadn't broken into their apartment one day. It was a Saturday after 12 o'clock, and I had seen Judy leave in the morning. I was preparing my lunch when I heard the fire alarm in his apartment. I ran to his door and started knocking. I rang the bell, calling Madame Voris several times, but she did not open the door. Hearing my scream and the alarm, the landlord and 2 other tenants came to my floor. They thought the old woman had vanished in the smoke. So without thinking, we broke down the door and went in. A kettle was on fire and Judy had forgotten to turn it off. The smoke made the alarm scream like crazy. We got the situation under control and started looking for Mrs. Voris. When we opened the bedroom door, our hearts stopped. Madame Voris was lying on an armchair, her upper body. Her throat was slit. She had been dead for a long time. Her lower body was gone. It was a vision of horror for anyone. The foul smell of his rotting body crawling with maggots hit us. I ran into an apartment, and I threw up in the sink. The smell was unbearable. The owner called the cops, and they stopped. Judy at the local grocery store. I was afraid to sleep when I realized that rainy night she had killed her monstrous mother. She knew very well that I had installed a doorbell camera. Unable to get rid of the body directly because of my camera, she devised a more sinister plan every night. She cut off some of his flesh and disguised as Madame Voris came out to get rid of it. That's why I never saw his face. All this time it was Judy carrying away the pieces of her dead mother, posing as her. Everything was going according to his plan. She had a perfect alibi, my camera footage proving she was Madame Voris. In reality, the corpse was rotting in his room. I was in the courtroom when the judge sentenced her to life for the murder of her mother. She remained silent the whole time. When the cops came to take her away, she looked at me and said, You know what, Samuel? I should have eaten it after I cut it up. I should have eaten her right away.